Hey friendo, Steve here. Welcome back to Wrestle Juice. It's WrestleMania season, so we're going to take a look at some of your questions because it's Ask Wrestle Juice time. You guys left way too many questions, and I won't get to nearly as many as I'd like to. But we're going to go ahead and start with this one from Lord Blake Whitehouse. It's WrestleMania season, so why not talk about what's going to happen after WrestleMania? He says, what are your biggest hopes for the Raw after Mania? And on the thumbnail, of course, I've got MJF making his debut because a lot of people have been like, hey, they took MJF off the roster page for AEW, and his merch store, I guess, has been shut down. And so a lot of people are saying, oh my, wow, he might be joining WWE. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think he's got a busted shoulder and they're fixing that. And you're going to try to create some controversy around his big return to AEW. He's probably locked into a deal for a long time because I think he signed the extension. But isn't it a shame that the bidding war story of 2024 just sort of turned into a whole lot of nothing? Anyways, so yeah, I think it'd be great if there was like a big shock return. But I don't know, like, that can't happen because I don't think anybody's really available. And I don't think WWE is going to be signing anybody. Like, it's not going to be Mike Santana, you know. I think he's going to TNA. So, in which case, one of my biggest hopes for the Raw after Mania? I mean, if you can't do a big return or a debut, the call-up is a situation that you could do. But the call-ups just they're not the same. Like, Carmelo Hayes was on SmackDown for like a while. And then he went they just sort of kept him in NXT and took him off TV on SmackDown, I guess so he can concentrate on his feud with Carmelo Hayes. So maybe, hey, you know what? A dual call-up. Maybe on Raw, on Raw, Trick Williams makes his big call-up. And, on SmackDown, Carmelo Hayes returns to SmackDown and he gets his call-up. And then maybe via the draft, they get drafted to the same brand because that's going to have to happen after Mania. And then they can reignite their feud going from NXT. That'd actually be kind of interesting now that I think about it. There does need to be more coordination between NXT, I feel, and main roster. Because, like, how about this? Baron Corbin shows up. And because he's still tag champions, I think, with Braun Breaker. So maybe Baron Corbin shows up after Braun Breaker wins the Andre the Giant Battle Royal, which is probably going to happen. And then and he's like, hey, I also won that thing. We could be the Wolf Dogs again. I don't know if they want to be tag partners on SmackDown, though, but they could be buddies there. So, yeah, some NXT call-ups. I just booked a couple of decent ones. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. What do you want to see on the Raw after Mania? Call-ups would be good. Mania really does need to be the big blow-off to a lot of stuff. And then the Raw after Mania is the season break. You guys remember last year's Raw after Mania, how terrible it was? Not that. I just don't want it to be that. Keep Vince McMahon continually away from the company because this is Triple H's first real Raw after Mania. So you wanted to make a really good one. So yeah, like, a couple of really long matches, a couple of really fresh feuds. I'd like to see that. On SmackDown, we find out Cody's sort of first feud after the Bloodline thing, because I'm assuming he's going to be walking out of Mania with that undisputed title. Seems kind of obvious at this point, but maybe not. I guess not. Maybe yes. I know I did a whole video saying that Cody was going to lose, but I don't think it's going to happen now. Now I think he's going to win. Flip-flopped on that one. Yeah. Are there any people who are out that can make a big return? Yeah, I don't know. MJF would be a shocker, though. Wouldn't that be great? Oh, my God. That'd be nuts. That'd be absolutely crazy. What if MJF is playing AEW? He's like, oh, my shoulder, but it's not really that hurt. And then he's just sort of out of his contract. Now he go to WWE. Wow. Anyways, next. King Pertov says, why do fans rely on Meltzer star ratings as gospel, capital G, even though he has a proven track record of inconsistency and bias towards certain wrestlers and companies? To me, personally, match rating shouldn't exist, but should be asking yourself, did I enjoy match or not? Not a ranking system. All right, so here's the thing. I feel like your issue isn't really with Dave Meltzer. It's with the fans. In which case, I feel like, I don't know. Like, Dave Meltzer's been around for a very, 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 very long time. Literal decades, like 4 decades, doing what he's doing. And for a long time, it was only him and like a couple others doing it. And his name was the most prominent. There wasn't internet for people to get their opinions out there. And then even when there was internet for people to get their opinions out there, it was another 10 years before YouTube became sort of a thing for people to get their opinions out there. And it took another 10 years for like wrestling internet media to really become truly a thing. There were some early adopters, like for example, Monster, and in 2014, me and Larson. But by and large, like it's been Dave Meltzer at the forefront of star rating guy, right? So that's why people take his ratings and debate them and have conversations around them. And I think it's honestly kind of a healthy debate. You know, people can say, no, he's full of shit. He doesn't give, you know, women's wrestling the appropriate amount of respect. Although he gave a lot of 5-star matches, I think, to a lot of Japanese women's wrestlers back in the day and matches back in the day. So I don't know, man. When you say I don't think match ratings should exist, that's a big thing. I mean, are you saying that Dave Meltzer should stop doing match ratings? Should he stop? Like, why would he stop offering up wrestling criticism? Why would I stop offering up wrestling criticism? That's something that we enjoy doing, that allows fans to engage and converse. If everybody was just like, did I enjoy the match or not? And then just didn't talk about it or didn't publicize it, the hell are we supposed to talk about? There's a market for what he does, just like there's, to a smaller degree, a market for what I do and what me and Larson do. So I don't know. Why do they rely on Meltzer star ratings as gospel? Because he's been around forever. Because the guy's like in his 60s or 50s or something like that. So he's been around for a very, very long time. So that's why, you know. And then everybody always says, why is just one man's opinion? You're right. It is one man's opinion. But like, you know, until other people supplant his opinion as sort of like the gold standard for whatever reason, he's going to be the guy. Me and Larson are trying to do that with our star ratings over at Friendo Club, but it might take us some time. You know, we're still pretty new at this. Shotgun Sean says, now that Vince and Kevin Dunn's influence is 100% gone and Triple H is fully in creative control, how great of a chance do you think WrestleMania has this year of potentially being the greatest of all time? Man, I don't know, because I don't even know what the greatest WrestleMania of all time is considered at this point. Like, which one is considered top WrestleMania? I think there's probably debate about that. It depends on what you like and all that kind of stuff. I think one thing that I really love about this WrestleMania is that they're diving into the what happens on night 1 affects night 2 thing. And I want to see more of that going on and continuing on. And I think now that Triple H is going to have a full Mania to Mania to book it the way he sees fit, I think 41 could have a chance at being the greatest of all time, because 40 still has some degree, some measure of Vince McMahon influence, because from the past Mania, if you want to consider Mania to Mania a season, you know, Vince was still around for a little while. So yeah, I don't know. I think it has an opportunity to be really, really, really good. And I think 41 has an opportunity to be even better than that. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. I think it's going to be really, really good. When you look at the matches on the card, Gunther versus Sami Zayn is going to be outstanding. Seth Rollins versus Drew McIntyre is going to be pretty compelling. The night 1 main event, Bayley versus Io Sky, is going to be amazing. Rhea versus Becky is going to be really good. Hopefully they'll give everybody a lot of time to let their matches breathe. I go back to Charlotte versus Rhea Ripley last year, and oh my God, that match was so phenomenal. And this year there's a lot of good matches that potentially could, you know, matches that look good on paper that could potentially be like really, really great matches. So yeah, I think it has potential to being, you know, one of the best, but a lot of X factors play into best of all time, you know? So yeah, we'll see how it all works out, but I'm looking forward to it. It should be really good. Oh, here's another one from Shotgun Sean. This is a good question, man. Shotgun Sean's got some good ones here. He says, WrestleMania 39's ending was infuriating / disappointing for a lot of fans. However, if WrestleMania 40 ends with Cody finishing his story, will it actually make WrestleMania 39's ending in retrospect great and be remembered fondly as it has played its part in setting up an even sweeter ultimate victory? Yes, yes, yes. And that's what I've been saying for a very long time now. And I was pissed off at the end of 39 as well, because I'm a big Cody fan. And I think that Cody's going to win this year. And I think it's going to be like, wow, they told this whole long ass story. And it like weaves the bloodline into it. And you got the bloodline there too. And then the bloodline is going to continue on. Probably Rock versus Roman at 41, or Rock versus Cody at 41. And it's a whole long story. That's what Triple H says. He says it's the story that never ends. And I know that's cheesy as fuck, but I think he's got like, he's on to something there where you can look at this whole tapestry and be like, oh my God, these stories never really end. They just keep on going and going and going. And look at how long the bloodline's been going now. It's phenomenal. It's great. It's really good stuff. What's the question? Will it make WrestleMania 39's ending in retrospect great? Yeah, of course it will. I said that back then. Alan Cartwright says, although I do think Ospreay is a good fit for AEW, do you still think Okada should have went to WWE? No, I actually really enjoy what they've been doing with Kazuchika Okada in AEW. I think I'm aligning with the Young Bucks, winning the Continental title almost immediately, and being like kind of a halfway comedic monster bad guy. I think it's a good fit for him. I really do. I think the matches are going to be phenomenal with Okada because he's a great wrestler. And I think that it kind of works. I think that what they're doing with him, for me anyways, really, really works. And I think the proof will end up being in the pudding. So, yeah, I don't know. Like, look, as much as I would have loved to have seen Gunther versus Okada in WWE, so far I like what I see in AEW. I'm excited that him and Ospreay and Swerve and Hangman are kind of part of this youth movement. I think they need to maybe think about like sunsetting some of their older original wrestlers like Chris Jericho, you know, from 2019, the guys who first came in. You got to either freshen them up or put them in Ring of Honor. I don't know what to do. I don't know. Wadson God Silva says, why Wrestle Juice? What is it mean? If the question is, why is the name of the channel Wrestle Juice? I don't know, man. I don't know. Look, back 20 years ago when I was doing comic books, I published one issue. It was the very last thing I did in comic books. One issue of this comic book called American Juice. There's something about the term juice that I just think it's got a double meaning. Number one, you can put it in a cup. It's orange juice or grape juice or apple juice or lemonade, right? But then at the same time, you wake up, you're like, man, I'm feeling juiced, right? I feel good. I mean, it can be also considered steroids. But what do steroids do, man? They get you jacked, right? And so I'm like, hey, I want a channel where he's like, Wrestle Juice. Yeah, give me that juice. That sounds good. I don't know. There's no rhyme or reason to it. It's very, very few and far between the times where I do something where there's like a real plan behind it. Oh, wow, this is a good one. Stu Wallbaum says, from what we've seen regarding creative in WWE, what do you see being the main event for SummerSlam? Cody Reigns 2, 3, rather? Maybe you do Cody. Maybe they try to juice up SummerSlam as much as they can, and they do Rock Cody there at SummerSlam. Maybe you do Rock Cody at SummerSlam. Rock wins that, walks into WrestleMania, beats Roman Reigns, and then at the next SummerSlam, Reigns wins it back and Cody beats him. I don't know what you do. You got those three guys. I think there's still a lot of stories you could tell between them, man. I've been really enjoying The Rock's work lately. Oh my God, he beat the shit out of Cody that on Raw, whatever it was, Raw last week. Oh my gosh. Here's a good one. King AD 0527 says, if Jay White had gotten signed by WWE, what do you think he would be doing right now? Maybe he'd be the Gunther match. I don't know. It depends on what they're doing with him. A Judgment Day feud of some sort. Finn Balor versus Jay White or Damian Priest versus Jay White for Money in the Bank. Have a Money in the Bank match. I don't know. Either Gunther. I think Jay White versus Gunther might be the call there. Oh my God, that match would be so good. Dang it. Now I'm kind of sad that they were on a hiring freeze. He should have just waited. Adam Messenger says, have you read the Boom Studios WWE ongoing series I ran from 2017 to 2019? If so, what are your thoughts on it? Well, Adam, as you know, I'm a comic book fan. At least I think you know that. I read a couple of them, and they all seem to, they're well produced. They all seem to sort of follow the same pattern. Like, you can't mess with what's been established. And they told just sort of like what happens in between one match and another match, or in the build up to a match. And so I didn't read them all, but like, they didn't really tread on ground that was all that new. Like, they didn't really. There was, I think that those comics really needed to be goofier. They needed to be sillier. They needed to be, I don't know, more fun, more out there. You got these larger than life characters. Do something kind of like you did with the New Day and that Undertaker Netflix thing, right? Like, go really far out there. And I kind of feel like they didn't do that enough. I read like a sample of them. I have like one of the trade paperbacks. I didn't get through the entire thing because it all sort of felt like followed a familiar thing. You know, like, oh, you just sort of get what happens backstage and in their off hours. And they just sort of dwell on what's already happened on TV. So, I don't know. I feel like they needed to be wackier. Like the Undertaker comic, right? Like he's in hell or whatever. It was fucking crazy. That's what you got to do. So yeah, thanks everybody for your questions. I really appreciate it. I know you guys left a lot of questions, and on the hot takes video, you guys left a lot of hot takes. I can't get to them all, but I try, do what I can. So anyways, thanks everybody for tuning in. I appreciate it. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and the notify bell so that you get notified when I do a new community thread for the questions thing. Usually I do like a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, something like that, so that I can get these up during the week. That's how it works around here at Wrestle Juice. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Appreciate it. Until next time, we'll see you around.